8 months ago, I bought and tested the top 10 best-selling laptop coolers over on Amazon, and we ended up finding some really great results, including some great budget options. With that said, since posting that video, I almost get a comment every single week about one cooler in particular. This right here, the IETS GT500 V2, and it's the absolute best laptop cooler money can buy. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's start off by talking about the unique design aspects of this laptop cooler, because it is very different from all the other coolers we previously tested. As instead of using anywhere between a 2 to 5 fan design, this laptop cooler uses a singular 5,000 RPM industrial fan in the very center of the system. And what makes it actually work is it uses these sealing pads that basically are made out of foam to go ahead and make sure that the air doesn't escape out the sides of your laptop. Rather, it's forced through the bottom of your laptop's ventilation holes. So this is actually a really unique design, and I'm a huge fan of it. And what's really cool about this is that it's adjustable depending on the size of your laptop. For instance, if you have a 13 or 14-inch laptop, you're going to use both of the actual foam inserts. Or if you have something larger, like a 15, 16, or 17-inch laptop, you're going to go ahead and pop that right out. On top of that, another really cool aspect about this laptop cooler is that the air intake for that 5,000 RPM fan actually goes through a dust filter, which is great because if you guys have seen any of my repair videos or have ever taken apart a laptop, they get disgusting inside by just the amount of dust that ends up getting clogged on those fans or the heat sinks. And this can help prevent or minimize the amount of dust that's actually getting into your system, especially when it's sitting on the laptop cooler. In addition to this laptop cooler also has 7-way adjustable legs that are built probably better than any of the other laptop coolers I've ever tested. So I'm a huge fan of those. And it's even great even if you have it laid all the way down because the actual ventilation comes in through at an angle, so it's still possible to make it work that way. Another thing I want to go ahead and mention that's kind of unique about this laptop cooler is the fact that it does require 12-volt DC, which is actually from the wall rather than from your laptop itself. As a lot of other laptop coolers allow you to power them over USB, but because of the amount of power that this fan actually requires, it actually has to come from the wall. In addition to this, on the side here, you also have RGB control, as you can adjust your mode, speed, as well as your color. And then you also have your granular control, which is designed to go ahead and adjust the speed of your fan depending on what you need at the time. In addition to this, on the other side, you also have a USB pass-through, as it includes a USB-A to USB-C cable, which basically allows you to turn one USB port into 3, giving you basically 2 additional USB ports that you can use when you're docked on the actual laptop cooler. So overall, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed, and it's, a nice little cooler right here. And when it comes to the overall build quality, is something I wanted to discuss. It's built very well. Everything about this laptop cooler feels premium. Despite it being made out of plastic, it still feels like a premium cooler, and it's better than any of the other coolers I've previously tested out or even seen in the field. So I'm actually a huge fan of this one, and I really do like the build quality, and I do feel like it's going to last for a long time. With all the great design, features, and build quality aspects discussed about this laptop cooler, let's go ahead and run over our benchmarks and go ahead and talk about that. To start out, let's go ahead and run over what we're actually using for our testing. Just like our other tests, we're using our Asus GL522, which is a great laptop. It's old, it's about 7 years old, but it's a great example for a system that's a little bit older, that runs really hot, that needs a laptop cooler to actually run at nice reasonable temperatures. Specs of the system feature a Core i7-6700HQ, 16 gigabytes of DDR4, and the GPU is an NVIDIA GTX 960M. So it does show its age, but it's a great system to go ahead and test with. So let's hop into our first benchmark. The first thing we wanted to test were the idle temperatures. To test our idle temperatures, we basically let the system sit for about 15 minutes doing absolutely nothing to go ahead and log what it was sitting at. And our system was able to see that we were able to drop our idle temperatures using the IETS GT500 V2 from all the way from 48 degrees Celsius down to 30 degrees Celsius, which was an 18-degree drop. In addition to this, this was 10 degrees better than even the Ice Coral, which was the next best cooler that we found in our previously testing. In addition to this, when we come to our AIDA64 test, which is on the extreme side, where we basically run a 100% load on the CPU for about 10 minutes and then go ahead and log our max temperatures, we were able to drop from stock from 83 degrees to 66 degrees, which is about a 20% decrease. In addition to this, compared to all the other coolers tested, the Ice Coral was the best one previously, and that one was at 77 degrees. So we were able to drop from about 11 degrees from that cooler right there. So I'm very, very impressed with how well the IETS GT500 V2 actually. Something I included in our previously test was really to figure out if laptop coolers were worth it. So I went ahead and also included this result in here. So basically I ran PC Mark 10. PC Mark 10 is basically a great test, realistic test to see how well your system's performing, because it tests everything from video conferencing to basically gaming to everything in between, web browsing, whatever you could think about it, word processing, it tests it all. So it basically spits out a score based on how well it can perform. The reason why coolers matter for this is that it allows your system to boost longer. In this case, the cooler definitely performed the best, but it must have been topping out when it comes to the amount of boost speed that it could actually hit, because it really couldn't get too much better than our next best coolers on the market. So when it came to that, it did make a big increase from our stock setup, but it still wasn't a huge increase compared to a lot of the other coolers. And that was pretty standard across the board when we ended up doing our previous testing. So going on beyond this, I want to go ahead and talk about one other thing: noise level. This laptop cooler is really loud. And let me go ahead and give you guys a quick listen so you guys can hear it. I'll go ahead and ramp up the speed as we progress just so you can hear it at the various levels. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back, and as you guys heard, this laptop cooler is loud. It's the loudest cooler that we've been able to test, and it runs about 59.2 decibels at max speed with the laptop on top. And comparing this to a lot of the other coolers that sat right around, anywhere between about 38 to about 43 decibels, this is a huge increase in the noise level. So for me, I don't think I could operate with this if I didn't have headphones on. If you have headphones on, I did test and it's not all that bad, but if you don't, it's really loud and can be very annoying. So I'd recommend, if you do have this cooler, to go ahead and run it about 50 to 75%, as it won't be nearly as loud, but you'll still get some of the great performance aspects that come along with it. Now let's go ahead and talk about price of this laptop cooler, because that's something that's really key here, as this laptop cooler is very expensive. It runs about $88.99 right now over on Amazon, and you can find their cheaper versions as low as around $65, sometimes a little cheaper, but even then, they're very, very expensive. But I do have to say, if you are on a budget, I wouldn't buy this. If you're on a budget and you're looking for a good cooler, go with something like the Kaibin or the Ice Coral. Those were both some of the best leaders that we'd found in our previous testing, especially when it came to price. The Kaibin's about a $12 cooler, and I think the Ice Coral is around $35 or so. So those are great options. But for me, I would probably recommend, if you do need the best that you can get out of your laptop, you want to go ahead and lower temperatures at the absolute best level, this is the best cooler out there on the market. I am highly impressed by this, and this is something I know I would personally use if I had a laptop that was overheating, and because it just runs really, really great. I don't plan on running it at max speed, but the temperature drop was so good that I know that even if I ran it around 50%, I'd still see a really great performance increase. With that said, if you guys want the best, this is what you buy. If you guys are looking for a budget option, I'll have all my other options linked down below in the video description, as well as if you guys have any questions about this cooler, or if there's any other coolers you want me to test out, make sure you throw those in the comments for me, just because I did find this one from the comments, and I'm really appreciative of that. With that said, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.